Hey everybody, we're going to give a little bit for people to get on. I don't know, I'm trying to get on here so I can share it as well. I'm going to turn this off so you don't have to hear the alarms. We're just going to take a few minutes and just talk. We wanted to do this live because we wanted to give you opportunity to ask questions if you want. And I'm just going to kind of run down what it's going to be like and what exactly we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and how it's going to be done so that you can be clear. We are very excited about being able to come back together. We're so thankful. You know, we live in a great state, and we're so thankful for the leadership that we're getting federally, but also we're thankful for the leadership we're getting statewide and then even locally. We're so appreciative of our local leaders, our health officials, and then also for our mayor, Gary, our city manager, our, just everybody who's a part of leading through this time. And I know it's hard. It's hard for everybody to understand. It's hard for everybody to go through. But I think we're closer than we think about getting back to normal. And I think we just need to keep praying that through. And I want to look up, let's see if we're on here. I'm not seeing this. So just kind of taking it casual. We're not trying to, hurry through this or anything like that. Let me get off the.
Yeah, my computer's doing
Okay, so I'm going to share this as well on my page. Sorry, it's taking us a minute. We're having a few technical difficulties today, but it's all right. I just want to say also too, and I've said this before, but I literally mean this. Our team, I want to say thank you to our team, our staff team, our elder team, our serve team at Summit. You guys have just been unbelievable through this, and we're just so thankful for that. And we thank you for your commitment to continue. And O'Connor here, he's done a pretty good job. We like him. It's his birthday today, by the way, so you should wish him happy birthday. He's getting old, y'all. He's getting old. So let me just share with you how this is going to work. First, let me just tell you that I want you to help us pray, continue to set your faith with us, because you need to realize that we're still considered here because of some different reasons and some different numbers. We need to understand we're still considered a hot spot. Okay, so the Amarillo area, so Randall and Potter County, that's something that's happened over the last few weeks, or at least a week, that we've been considered this is a hot spot. And there are several reasons why. So our numbers don't necessarily look like some other parts of the nation or other parts of the world. They're still up. And we're just believing that whatever that is and why ever that is being resolved in every way that our health community can do it. But also we're just trusting God, and we're asking God to intervene in this situation so that there won't be any worries or concerns or stresses as we try to get back to normal. So I want to just encourage you with that. And also, I just want to tell you that what we're deciding, what the information I'm going to give you today, is contingent upon how that goes. And so I want you to know that we're not just operating with vision and with passion about doing ministry, but we're also using wisdom. We're standing in faith and we're using wisdom. And both of those things are very important. And, your safety is very important to us. And so I want you to listen very carefully. And then if you have questions, you can let us know. One thing I want to say is there are a lot of churches that are opening. Some have already opened, and they're having good success with it, it looks like. I've got friends from literally all over the nation. Some of them have opened back. Some of them haven't opened back yet. And I'm talking about friends I just saw some friends we have in New Mexico that they have a rather large church, and they spaced people out, and people wore masks, and because I think in New Mexico it's mandatory. I think if you're in a public place you have to wear a mask. So they said, you know, it was a little awkward in that way, but they said everyone was so excited to be back at church. And so we're excited as well and hope that everybody else is too. And we also understand that there are some people that just aren't ready for that. And we know that church is kind of that communicable place. When you hear the plans and how we're going to do things, I think you're going to know that we're doing things safely and with your best interest at heart. And we're going to continue to provide online church. You know, church online has been a very successful thing for us, and we're going to continue to do that. So if you're not ready, or if the way we're having to do it now doesn't fit the context of what you need, then we will, absolutely think it's great that you would just continue to go to online church. Personally, it's not the same for me. I want to see my people. I miss you guys. There's no way to even describe how much our team misses the church, and we love you so much. And it's been the most difficult thing about
it. It's been good to talk to people, because we've talked to a lot of people in our church, but just seeing people and shaking hands and just
absolutely
just looking somebody in the eye,
not shaking hands. see Connor's already messing up.
Yeah,
he's got people shaking hands. None of that.
Touching elbows, something. That's been my move.
Touch somebody's elbow. So we're going to try to be as clear as possible, because we know that a lot of the communication surrounding this on every level can get so muddy. And so we just want to be very clear about what we're going to do. So let me just say this. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on the numbers. And I think, we've got to be wise about that. But then also, there's several churches in Canyon, churches that we're, in relationship with, and some of them are starting later than us, coming back later. Some of them are coming back earlier. So we're trying to find that, that fit for us. So the first thing I want to say is, we haven't communicated this yet, but I'm communicating it now, is as of May 22nd, we're going to encourage small groups to come back together in person. Now, what we want you to do is use CDC guidelines. And you know what? Here's the deal, guys. You're adults, okay? We have never been a church, nor will we ever be a church that wants to control people. We just don't. And we want to give you the best advice we can give you. We want to give you the best teaching we can give you. We want to give the best leadership and discipleship we can give you. But to be truthful, we don't want to control your life. That's between you and God. And you're a grown person, and you know what you need to do. So I just want to encourage you. Here are some recommendations in doing that. So as you start back in your person-to-person groups, or in your small groups, and you're doing it in person, here's some recommendations. Number one, follow the CDC guidelines. I would encourage you to use social distancing. And what that means is, really, Connor and I are too close, but we're family. We've been around each other a lot. And so none of us have been around anybody who's been exposed to coronavirus or anything like that. And we've kept the rules. I'll just tell you, our families have kept the rules, and our staff has kept the rules. And so we've been very sharp about that. But you want more space. You want 6 feet between you. And I know that seems weird and it feels weird, but I think we all should be used to it by now. So we'd encourage that. And then also, if you can do patio or backyard type meetings, especially if you're meeting in your home, you're not meeting at a coffee shop or a restaurant or something like that.
Weather's pretty nice too. No?
Yeah, weather's good. If you're meeting inside, definitely get the 6 feet. Definitely, if it, I know that masks are a struggle for some, but if that's what you feel like you need to do, then I would encourage you to do that, and we'll provide those for you as we have them. And then I would just encourage you to do it outside. We've got a screened-in back porch, and it's a great place to meet. And so, if I was leading a small group that was at my house, that's what I would be doing. We'd be doing a back porch, and I do have a small group, so I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. So that's what we encourage. So as of May 22nd, we're releasing all the small groups to go back to an in-person model. Now, I would encourage you. I don't know I think some of our groups have more than 12 or 14 people. I think there are probably several that have more than that, but there are several that have 10 and under. And I would encourage you to keep, make sure you're just keeping the guidelines as you get together. So our first worship experience back is going to be January the 7th. I mean, not January the 7th. That is absolutely wrong. It's June the 7th. Hey, just give me some likes and hearts if you have had struggles with even knowing what month it is or what day it is.
Today's been a long week.
It is. Exactly.
Today's been a long week.
This week's been a long year. But it's been odd, hasn't it? I don't know how I got January, but it started with a J, so I'm close. So it's June the 7th. It'll be our first worship experience back. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do, just like we've been doing church online, we're going to continue to do church online. And I want to encourage you that if you're in any kind of marginalized situation, like if you are immunocompromised, if you are a person who is at more of a high risk at this, if you're a little older and maybe your health isn't great, your immune system isn't great, I would encourage you to continue to join us with church online. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the same time, if you're that 65 years old and up and you want to be here and you absolutely feel like you want to do that, we will reserve a spot just for you that's a little bit more separated than others. So I want to encourage you with that. So we're going to be doing a 9:30 and 11 o'clock service. I know we love to have service, everybody together and fill up the auditorium. But the truth is, it's just not safe to do that right now, and we want to be as as cautious as we can, and take all the precautions we need to, so that everybody can feel safe and good about it, and have a great worship experience without being distracted by any feelings of not being safe. So, so we're going to keep those the 9:30 worship experience, 11 o'clock worship experience. And then we're going to do continue to do our online church worship experience as well. Okay, so you'll have those three options. If when we start getting the reservations in, if those numbers go over where we need them to go per service, which I think we're going to cap it at like 100 in the auditorium, just because the size of our auditorium, it's a pretty good size auditorium, but in order for us to keep everybody separate the way we need to, and just because we feel like that's a safer number, I have friends that have much larger churches that they're allowing 200 at a time, but that's because they can space them out. Right. And so, so we're going to do no more than 100 at a time, and you will need to reserve. Now we're going to be sending out information that tells you exactly how to reserve your place. And we're going to send you a link. So literally all you have to do is click on it and fill out the information, and we'll have your information.
It'll be on the website.
Right. It'll be on website, on Facebook, everywhere you need it to be, that's where it'll be. And then that'll tell us how many people are going to be in each worship experience. And that way, and we do expect that we may have some walk-ins, we may have some guests and some visitors, because there's been a lot of people that have been joining us in online church that haven't necessarily come to church. Yep. Physically. So we could have some of that too, and we will make accommodations for that, just kind of some cushion seating where that if we have people walk in, it'll be okay. So I want to so we're doing that. So we'll have you reserve, but don't, if you're not technologically savvy and that scares you, don't worry about it, because we're going to call, our team will be calling you, connecting with you, making sure that you know how to do it and what needs to be done. And as we get those reservations in, if we cap those numbers, I mean, if we pass our cap, or we're starting to pass our cap, then here's what we'll do. We'll just add another service, because we're willing to do as many as we need to do to get everybody in. Yeah. And you know what? Invite your friends. This is no time for the church to be going, hey, we're just going to try to survive. No, this is a time for church to be saying, hey, there's a lot of people asking questions. There's a lot of people needing Jesus. There's a lot of people wanting to know more about God. This is a time to invite them, whether it's to online church or it's to church live, and just make sure we know they're coming so that we can have a spot for them. Okay? I want to talk to you a little bit about how this is gonna work. So some logistics, and if I forget anything, Connor, you just make sure you remind me. And please, if you have any questions at all, just put them in the comments right now. If it's something that you don't want everybody to know or discuss, then put it in a direct message and we'll respond to you individually. But listen, we're equipped to handle your questions and would love to. That's why we're doing this live instead of just sending out a video. Okay, so 9:30 and 11. Our services are probably going to be somewhere around an hour and 5 minutes to hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing us, it's probably going to be more like an hour and 15 minutes. That's kind of what we've done online. We've had a couple that have gone past that, but for most part, it's been around an hour and 15. And we're going to keep it that way, and here's why. Because we will not be having classic children's ministries. Now, I think that by July, we may be looking at reinstalling children's ministry in the elementary grades because they're more manageable in the sense of being able to interact. But, right now, it's just not possible to do classic kids ministry simply because just there's no way, you have serve team members that are going to have to be touching kids and kids are going to be touching each other, and there's just no way to keep them apart. It's almost cruel to think about that. So for the immediate, as we go back, there won't be children's ministry classically. But here's what we are going to do. We're going to put a kids element in every service of some kind. Our kids team is going to be putting that together. It'll be fun. It'll be vibrant. It'll be something. And we're going to have, especially for the younger kids, we're going to have packets that we put together to put in every parent's hand so that your kids can, color, and as they're listening and you're not wanting to feel like, oh, I don't want my kid to be disruptive or distracting anybody. Yeah. I understand that feeling. But listen, we're all in this together. Come on. Everybody knows what's going on. It's not a secret. And so we're going to provide everything we can to help you with that. And again, we have the online church if you just feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and this week we'll have it up on YouTube. I know some parents were asking, can we have the kids' experience on YouTube as well? And we'll have it up on there. That way you can view that with your kids.
Yes.
There.
So the online, the kids element in the service is not going to be, like a full kids deal. It'll be like a 3 or 4 minute deal just to speak to the kids, and our kids team will do it, and it'll be fun, and we'll involve the adults too. But we just feel like if the kids are going to be in with us, we should speak their language. And so it's very important to that. And you know what? Let's just be honest. It's not going to hurt for our kids to sit in church and just get a feel for how that is and what that looks like, and what mommy and daddy do in church. Yeah. And how it's just like what they do.
It's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Really, it's a great opportunity.
So that also leads me to communion, because it's it's a kind of a cool thing when the family can do communion together, as you've been experiencing every week. Don't you love that we do that every week? I mean, to me, it's such a special thing.
It is.
It has been too at home. Like when we've done it, it's like it just feels. I think two of my favorite parts of the online church are when we do communion, and then the little prayer segment
right after.
That has been a very spiritual moment for us. Yep. How's that been for y'all?
We love it. I think it's special because it's not just in church, but it's in the place where we live.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something different about it. It's very special and
intimate too, because it's just your family.
Yep.
And it's like
you're setting a precedent.
Yeah. With no distractions, just like let's do it. So, but here's how we're going to do communion when we come together, because I know that would be a big concern for everyone. Unfortunately, because I love the way we do it and allow people to come up, and then it's just dispersed by different serve team members, and it's just a beautiful thing. I love it. It's one of my favorite things we do as a church. I love that part of our service. But for now, it's just not something that we can do that way. Mm-hmm. So what we've done is we have ordered and will continue to order self-contained communion sets. And all of that has been sanitized, and it will be in your chair, and it's all contained, packaged together. The juice, you just take the lid off and take the wafer off the top, and then you open up the juice and you drink the juice, and you'll have it there for your family, and no one else will touch it.
Yeah.
And so, because I don't feel like we're going to not. One thing we're not going to do is we're not going to give up on things that we believe in because of coronavirus.
Especially, it's so safe too. It's all contained. The containers are very safe.
And we're going to find a way to, like, if you've made a decision to follow Christ in the last few weeks, because guys, you know what? It's been 7 weeks since we've been together. 7 weeks. I couldn't believe it when I thought about that the other day, and it just breaks my heart.
It is crazy.
It doesn't feel right. It feels so odd.
It's not right.
But but we know it's the right thing at this time. And I can I just say I'm not going to be emotional. Well, I might. This is silly. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to get like this. I just want to say it has blessed my soul and so many of my pastor friends how our churches have just risen to the occasion in attendance, in giving, in serving, and just being willing, and how our staffs, I think our whole staff, I think our entire staff, Connor, are better pastors now than we were before this.
Yep.
We're just more intentional, more engaged. Our serve team is more intentional. I've heard stories of people doing things, like I just heard a story this morning about people from their small group. Someone in their small group had surgery, and they got together, went over and prayed for them.
Yeah.
And, they did it all in safety and all that. But, I've heard of people at Easter going to other people's houses, the older folks' houses that have some younger kids in their homes, and just went over and gave them some supplies on their porch, and then put eggs all over their yard, and then called them and said, "Hey, we've created an egg hunt for your grandson."
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of stuff, that's happening all the time in church. I just want to say, you bless Janae and I and our elder team and our staff team. We are so blessed to have a church that is not, everybody we call, and every time we call, "How you doing? Do you have a need? Can I help you?" And it's always, there are some needs that have come out of it, and thank God we're able to meet those needs and help those needs, but it's always that, we're doing great. What can we do to help?
Absolutely.
And you guys have just blown me away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade our church for any church. God, I feel so.
It's just the absolute best, and it's not just, when we talk about we're reaching out to people. The people of our church are reaching out to us as pastors.
Yeah.
Like calling us.
Yeah.
Saying they care about us, saying we're praying for your family.
Yeah.
Me and Taylor just moved into another house. It's right down the road from our other one, but we've had people in the church say, "Man, we just had to see where you live, and we just drove by and prayed for you." And we just, it's just amazing. Yeah. And just the compassion and the care.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
And for each other.
Yes.
And I can't imagine, church, that Jesus said, "This is how men will know you're my disciples."
Yep.
He didn't say you'll know you're my disciples because I know we're talking about all kinds of this is the problem with Facebook Live. It's like there are people on here waiting. Can you just get to the details?
Yes.
We're not, I'm just so moved. I just feel like telling you this, but Jesus said, he didn't say because you can work miracles, that's how people are going to know.
Yeah.
He didn't say because you can preach well, or because you use your gifts well, or because you have a good worship team. He didn't say any of those things. Here's what he said: "This is how men will know you follow me, because you love one another."
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you something, Summit Church. If the community around us and the people around us can't look on us and know that we follow Jesus, I don't know how you could know. Because the truth is, you guys have done nothing but show your great love for one another. And not only just for one another in the body of faith, in the family of faith, but for your own neighborhoods and for your own neighbors. And I'm just getting reports back all the time of that happening. So,
like, I have a neighbor that lives beside me. They just moved in, and they worked with somebody from our church. Oddly enough, I didn't even know that. And we just struck up a conversation.
Yeah.
And I got her phone number, and she, as soon as y'all's doors open, please let me know because I'm coming.
Yeah.
And so we just built this relationship, and God's setting these up. I'm sure people have testimonies of that happening.
Right.
all within our church.
Yeah, I have a friend that goes to another church, and I think it's so exciting, these kind of testimonies. And he was telling me that he'd been working on his neighbor for 3 years, trying to get him to come to church and trying to get him to know the Lord, and just conversation after conversation, and really no movement. And 3 weeks into this, he was watching church online, not ours, but another church, and came to him and told him he gave his life to the Lord, and he's coming to church, and he's giving, and he's serving, and he's going through their discipleship classes. It's like, wow, who would have thought that just this happening would have that kind of effect on people? So we're going to go through and look at all your comments if here in a minute, but let me get through some more. So kids church will be suspended. We'll do some kids elements, and then also for church online, we will continue to put up the kids programming that we're doing. And so when we do that, you could even go home with your kids. If you come to in-person church, you could go home with your kids and still see that online, the full programming. So we want to make sure that you know that. Let's see. All of our serve team will be, because it is part of the guidelines, all of our serve team will be wearing masks. And we're going to have masks available to whoever else wants to wear one. I would encourage you to do that. Let me explain to you why that is. Because the thing that makes church so dangerous, and it's what they have said to us, is makes it the most communicable place for the virus in the community, is because all other gatherings like this have been stopped. So as you are aware. So that means that the only place where community gathering, where lots of people getting in one space for an extended period of time, is going to be the church. Okay, so think about it. You're talking, you're seeing each other, you're in close proximity, you're singing, and this virus is respiratory. It's droplets that come out of our mouth that affect other people. So it gives that potential. So I would encourage you. I know it seems weird. I'm gonna wear a mask while we're doing praise and worship. I had one guy tell me, I just feel like I'm gonna feel muzzled, and it will. But I just talked to a guy or listened to a guy talk about their church service in New Mexico, and they're mandated to wear masks. And so he said, that was weird looking out, and everybody had masks on, but people just said, you know what, it is what it is. We're going to worship, and we're going to do what we need to do. So if you feel like that you want to care for, because really wearing a mask on her, it really is about caring for others. Because the mask, it protects you to a degree, but it really is protecting others from you. So we would encourage you to do that if you feel like that's what you need to do. But I will tell you how the thing will be set up. As you reserve your family seating, the way we'll be set up in the auditorium is we're going to set your family together, because family units can set together because you're around each other. You have been around each other. And there's no reason why you can't sit together. You don't have to be 6 feet apart. So we'll put your family unit together, and then from your family unit, we'll do other seats that are between every unit of every family unit. There'll be 6 feet around you, so that you're not close. You're not within 6 feet. Also, we're going to have people, like once you reserve your spot, we're going to have people. We're going to communicate to you what door you're going to come in and what door you're going to go out. So everybody will come in. We have a front entrance. We have a 12th Street entrance in the front. We have a 13th Street entrance in the back. Then we have 1, 2, 3 entrances and exits to the outside that will be open, that we will assign you where you're going to come to. So that way there's not like stacking up in the lobby. And we're not going to tell you not to talk to each other, and you're going to have to be safe in yourself. You're going to have to know the guidelines, and you're going to have to, be an adult and judge that yourself. And, we're going to all want to shake hands. I'm going to want to hug every single one of your necks, but I'm not going to, because it's not about me and what I want. It's about taking care of what's important. And that's the way we need to be.
That's why it's important to reserve your spot. That way we can get the facility prepared as possible for
Right.
you and your family and everybody else.
Right. We're also going to be having sanitation stations, so self-standing places where you can literally just go get stuff, and we'll also have small bottles, but so you don't have to handle that and pass it around. You can just go up to a station and put your hand under it and do that. That'll all be available too in our restrooms, and we'll ask you to abide by the guidelines in terms of the restrooms too, and all of that. Okay. So let's see. We will have a serve team opportunities. So those of you who are on our First Impressions team, on our parking lot team, on our production teams, there won't be any kids teams working except just to maybe connect with kids as they come in. But there will be necessity for you to come and be a part, and then we'll ask everybody to check in so that and those serve team members will help you know what door to go through and that kind of deal. So we'll have check-in stations outside before you come in. Let's see. Well, I've talked about the kids packets and the kids elements, hand sanitizer. Also, because we're doing multiple services, between every service, we have been talking to some other churches, and there's a product that they've gotten, and we will be spraying the entire auditorium between services to make sure it's completely sanitized between the first and second services. And if we have to go to a third, and we'll do that. But it's a product that will completely take care of any germs that may be on any surface, so on and so forth. And let me just say something too. I know that there are a lot of you that are like, oh, I can't wait. Like I even saw somebody post 21 days and counting.
Yeah.
And that's great. But listen to me. If you're a person who's just like, I don't know if I want to get my kids in that, or you're an older person, like I just don't feel please don't be condemned. Don't feel like somehow you have less faith. This is not a faith issue. And I don't want you to think of it that way. And we would never ask you to be unwise and call that faith, right? And anybody who's preaching that and teaching that, just don't listen to that nonsense, okay? Because that's not the way this works. But I do want to encourage you that you stay connected. The way we're doing our online church, we will have a host pastor, and they will be there available to pray with you. They'll be available to answer your questions. They'll be available to communicate back and forth to you. And it will be an awesome opportunity. You literally have a full service church right there online. So you don't need to feel at all, I don't know, like bad or guilty that you didn't jump in. But at the same time, if you're one of those people who are like, man, I am ready for this to be over and I'm ready to go to church, then hey, we're going to provide a safe, really good way for you to do that. Okay, so any questions? I'm going to go through and look and see if there's any questions, but now it's time for questions. So please ask questions. And also, we're going to send this out. We're recording this, and we're going to send it out through, you'll get a text notice. If you are a part of Summit Church, you'll get a text notice of this, and you'll also get an e-blast, an email that will have this video in it as well. And then it'll be here on the Facebook page and our YouTube channel as well. So any questions that you might have right now would be important because somebody else might have that question as well. So let me see. Happy birthday, Connor. Happy birthday, Connor.
Birthday. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Let's see. I don't see any questions yet. Hey, Amber, we're praying for Ty. Just want you to know our prayer team's praying for Ty.
Yes, we are.
Believing God to bless him. And, Connor, a lot of people have been praying for you. Why don't you give us an update on where you're at, what happened with you? And
so a couple weeks ago, I started having some pretty bad chest pains. It was for a couple of days, and I thought, this probably isn't anything. It'll probably pass. But it just kept happening day after day. And so one night, I got really short of breath, The left side of my arm and body was becoming numb, and it was really scary. And so the only thing I had heard of happening when this happens is somebody's having a heart attack. And so I told Taylor, let's get up. It was probably midnight. We went to the ER, got checked out and everything, and I ended up having something called pericarditis. It's the membrane or the covering around your heart begins to swell. And it was kind of a viral thing. It wasn't COVID or anything like that, but it was a viral thing. And so it just caused the past 2 weeks really sharp stabbing pains in my chest, in my ribs, and in my arm. And I feel great today, but I've kind of been going through that the past couple of weeks. And I appreciate the prayers.
So what we understand is that what the doctor said is this happened because some kind of virus or your allergies or something got in your lymph nodes, and then it caused the inflammation of that.
Yes.
And that this is not chronic.
Right.
But it's just something that happened in 2 or 3 weeks. It should totally be gone.
Yeah, and it's just an odd diagnosis. There's not a lot of this that happens. But yeah.
Good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, feeling a lot better. Thanks everybody for calling and praying. It means the world. So
yeah. Hey, I also want to say, we need to keep the right attitude as we do this. I know there's a lot of information out there, and I also know that there's a lot of case-by-case thinking that we need to do. Okay, so what I mean by this is I know that there are a lot of opinions and a lot of thinking all over the nation. And I know that there are some places in the nation that really are abusing this situation. We know it. It's obvious. So we're not making any judgments on anyone. If they're starting back, if they're not starting back, if they're waiting, and everybody's situation is different. But I just want to encourage you. We are paying attention to our leaders. One of our elders here at Summit Church, Gary Henders, is the mayor. And you guys listen to me. If you get a chance, send a card or some flowers or anything to Gary and Linda, because they've been living this day and night. And it's not like it's not like that's all he does as a mayor. He also leads Happy State Canyon Branch and a big part of Happy State Bank, and he's an elder here, and he sits on boards and. But this has been something we really, really need to give them appreciation. And I'm going to tell you too, our elders are just extraordinary people.
Phenomenal.
And they all have major influence in our community, and they all carry a lot of weight and responsibility in their own lives. And we're so grateful for them and their wisdom. And, we're staying in line with what our city manager needs, with what our sheriffs need, with what our police need, and our firemen, everybody. And we're listening to the health officials. And I know there's a lot of, opinion, opining going on all over the internet and all over the news and all over the blah, blah, blah. But you need to understand what's going on here in this area is different than what's happening in other areas. Now, some good news we can take is that as reopenings are happening, and now there are some states that have been reopened 14 and 21 days beyond, which would give the lifespan of the virus, so we would see if there's a reoccurrence or a resurging, and that does not seem to be happening. In major states that have been reopening, it looks like that their numbers are continuing to decline. Very positive, very positive. It's positive because it talks to the issue of what's going to happen if it comes back in the fall, and all that kind of stuff. And let's remember too. Let's keep things in perspective. Yes, this is difficult. Yes, it is scary. Yes, it has elements that we've never experienced before. But the truth is, 98% of people who get this recover from it. So what we need to do in being safe is to show love to people who would be more apt to get this. And so it's not just about keeping yourself safe.
Yeah.
And that's why when I get a little frustrated when I hear people, they're infringing on our rights. No, if you love people, then you'll care about them And I think if you've got older folks in your family, you should do what's necessary to make sure they're safe.
It's a good time to exercise compassion.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
And we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so I want us to understand our situation is not the same as other people's situation. You need to know our governor has said weeks ago, hey, churches, if you feel like you want to open, please follow the guidelines, but open. And the reason, let me just tell you, the reason we've waited and are still waiting another 21 days is simply because we're still, you need to understand, Amarillo Canyon, this area, Moore County, Potter, Randall, this is a hot spot. Our numbers are still going up. We're still dealing with that. Now, I've seen some good signs in the last couple of days. It seems like things are dropping, but listen. You need to understand that's our situation. And we're listening, and I've been personally in meetings with our city officials and with our health officials, and they're not lying to you, okay? This is not a big scheme to lie to us. They live in this community. They want the best. Most of them are Christians and want to go back to church. And they've stated that to us. And they've cared enough to engage our pastors in this area with, meetings to say, how are you feeling? What is your input? And, they didn't have to do that. They didn't. And it's been done in Amarillo. It's been done here in Canyon. And they didn't have to do that. But they're doing it because they care. So I don't want us as a church, if there's anybody that's a part of Summit, let's not take any kind of posture that's, man, they're just trying to hold us down. They're just trying to keep, because that is not the case. I'm telling you, I've been in the meetings. It is not the case. All the motivation that's going on right now is truly out of compassion and for care and for safety. And these people aren't just like working a little bit. They're working 7 days a week, 14-hour days, and getting very little breaks. We need to be praying for them. We need to be loving on them. We need to be caring about them. So I say that because I don't think anybody in our church is like that. But I just think it's really, let's not listen to all those crazy voices. Remember what I talked about the week before last? And man, wasn't Dino great?
Yeah, he was awesome.
Woo, man, what a great word. If you didn't get to go on online church on Sunday, man, you need to go back and listen to that message.
Yeah,
that was powerful. Yeah. But anyway, remember what I said a week ago? In order to get clarity, sometimes you have to leave the crowd. And so let's not listen to the crowd's voices that are all so negative and opinionated. Let's listen to the people who know what they're talking about, and let's move accordingly. And so I want to encourage you over the next 21 to 36 days, most every church in Canyon will be opening back up. And again, you've heard everything that we've said about how and what. And do we have any questions?
And we also still have masks at our office. If you do need a mask, Deborah Beard just said thank you so much for the mask. Yeah, absolutely welcome. The ladies, how many? 3 or 4 ladies from our church, just killing it on the masks.
Yeah, and let me just talk about that for a minute too, Connor. From the get, when this started, when we found out this was happening, I'm just so proud of how nimble and flexible our church is. In a week. Yep. Just to watch people in the whole context. Think about it. In a week, not just churches, not just ministries, but schools and literally changing the way we did everything. Literally in a week. So amazing. And that's what can happen when people go, all right, this is what we have to do, and we don't sit and complain, but we go, all right, this is what we have to do. Yeah. And we're doing it. And thank God that God prepared us, that we had the right technology, that we have the right equipment, that we have a team that can do it. Man, praise God. But I don't know where I was going. Oh, from the get, though. We started with immediately 5 or 6 outreaches to the community with the church, and people jumped on. And one of those things was making masks. We have 4 or 5 seamstresses in the church that just said, "Hey, we're ready. Let's do it."
How many masks? Like hundreds.
I don't know exactly how many the count came out to, but it was at least a couple hundred.
I was like, yeah.
And now they've made some more kids masks. So if you if you wanted some the size of a kid, yeah, because the masks for adults like will cover your whole kid's
Yeah,
face.
Lindley has an adult mask, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, she doesn't like to wear it either.
No, she doesn't.
But so we did that. The blood drive, man, they were hoping to get a certain amount, and we exceeded their expectation. The snack pack for kids, man, you guys have just been consistent with that. But then when they needed 300 jars of peanut butter, and it was supposed to be, we're going to do this over 2 weeks. If you can get that to us the next day, we were able to go give them all the peanut butter that they asked for. And you guys have continued to bring that.
Our Be a Neighbor campaign.
Be a Neighbor campaign, man. We've connected people who have needs in the church with people who wanted to meet those needs, and that has been so successful.
Yep, I Heart Canyon.
I Heart Canyon initiative, which we brought a coalition together with the churches of Canyon, with the Lions Club of Canyon, Liz Carver Triangle Realty, the Stevens Flowers, and then even we got a grant from. Just last week, we got a grant from the Rotary Club?
I think
that's
so.
Right, yeah.
That
and so
right. Yep.
those people came along, a part of the coalition, and then also just a lot of individual donors saying, "Hey, I want to help," and we helped. Like I think the number ended up being 83 different individuals in the food industry and in the I don't know what industry you call it, salon and barber industry, and
cosmetology.
Yeah, and that was let's see, I think $24,900 was dispersed. So, and here's what that meant: if you were in that situation where you weren't being paid, or you lost your job you were furloughed or whatever, you could fill out an application, send it in, and we wrote you out a check for $300 and sent it to you. And that may not sound like a whole lot of money, but to somebody who just lost their job and maybe most of their income to buy diapers and milk for their baby and groceries was the tip money that they were getting as a waiter or waitress or as a barber, man, that helps. And just the feeling of knowing somebody cares. And guys, you jumped on the check. We contributed major to
generous.
And you guys have just stepped up. In church, because of your generosity, we haven't stopped anything. Like, I wouldn't say we've in any way decreased. We've just sped up. And, because of your generosity and your continual giving and obeying God with your giving, I'm just telling you, you can't believe we haven't stopped supporting any ministry that we support every month. We haven't had to cut back on anything, although there's been a lot of things we haven't had to do in terms of using the facility and things of that nature. But, man, I'm just, Connor, I'm just
I don't know
proud.
what to say.
I'm just so proud of our church, and we're just so thankful. We're just blessed, man.
Yep.
We are blessed. We are blessed. And you know what? Because this is the way people that are Summit Church people respond, they're just going to continue to be blessed and blessed and blessed and blessed.
It's biblical. I mean, there's no refuting it.
We've learned to trust God, haven't we?
Yep.
We could go on and on. And I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to reiterate. Our first Sunday back is going to be June 7th. We will have a 9:30 and 11 worship experience, and then an online worship experience, also 9:30 and 11. We will be having sanitation stations. You will need to reserve your family's spot. And we will send you all the information and basic steps on how to do that. It won't be difficult at all. We will have all of our chairs set up appropriately. We will have sanitation stations. I said that already. We will be bringing you in through different doors and having you exit through different doors. We will no classic kids ministry. Kids will be in church with the adults probably till July, unless we feel like it needs to go longer. I will tell you that a lot of our summer type activities have been canceled, but we are extending our small group. We usually don't do a summer small group semester because our church is so active during the week and people are moving and going so much that Small groups usually are just kind of social in the summer, like if you want to have a cookout or something.
Yeah.
But we're continuing our small group semesters into the summer because so many things have been shut down, and we need to stay together, and we need, to be connected. So we're doing that. But our mission trip to Africa has been suspended. We won't be able to go there until later, and it probably won't be in any time in 2020. It'll be in 2021. If you're interested in why that is, it's not just because we're concerned about safety, but like the choir that was with us is still in the United States.
Yeah, with Toto, yep.
And we're also probably going to be giving you an opportunity to help them, because I know that that's expensive for them to have to stay and provide food. And in a situation where they didn't get to go to all the churches that they were going to go to, and so I'm sure that's affected their budget significantly. So we want to be a part of helping that, and we're going to give Watoto the option of, do we pay for the projects we were going to do if we came, or do you want us to help this choir they're in Weatherford, Texas, actually.
Yeah.
And so that's something, but the nation is still closed. Like, people from Uganda can't get into Uganda at this point. So we don't, our trip was supposed to be in July, and we don't foresee, especially because we're considered a hot spot now, that our visas would even be accepted. So even if we wanted to go, I don't think we would be able to. And we do want to go, but even if we weren't making the decision not to go, we wouldn't be able to go.
Yeah.
Even if we weren't making that decision. So they'd make the decision for us. Secondly, camp. We were going to go to camp, but a lot of parents expressed to us that if we didn't go back to school, that they didn't know how they felt about sending their kids to a camp, enclosed, out of state. And so we're probably going to put together some kind of camp out or something at Palo Duro Canyon.
This is for youth.
For youth.
Yep.
But we're not going to be going to camp this year. So all that money will be refunded to you, and if you put any money in, it'll be refunded to you. And then also, and if there was any fundraising done, that money will just go into an account waiting for the next time we do something with youth, and your kids will be covered, or at least whatever they contributed will be taken care of. Then Jump Kids Camp, that will not be happening this year, just because we probably could end up doing it in the summer, late in the summer, if things change like we think they're going to. But the truth is, in order to prepare for it, in order to do all the things necessary for it, it's just not feasible to do it now. And we just really feel like people aren't ready for that, and you can't keep kids away from each other, And one thing I would ask you to do, one thing we asked people to do not long ago, and we really didn't get a lot of, this is one of the things we didn't get a lot of participation on, but I'd like for you to do it, because we talked to one grandfather that takes care of his grandson, and he said, one of the problems with my grandson, he's elementary age, is he just isn't seeing other kids his age because they're not in school, and he's only seeing them on these little moments with their teachers. And so what we were trying to do is get parents to get their young people to do their memory verse on a video and send it back to us. So you should do that. Send it back to us. Danny had worked that all out. Make sure you get that to her so that we can play that after, when we do the kids content. We can play that because it lets them see each other. And I know they'll be seeing each other more now as we open things up, but it's just something interesting.
Deborah said, "Where do I sign up?" All of that will be provided today, and so all of the stuff, we'll send out a message if you're on our text feed, email, all of that, and you can sign up. If you're not on that, you can sign up for notifications on our website. It's right on the front page, and we'll do that for you.
And it may not be today. It might be tomorrow or something like that. But
soon.
You don't need to worry about.
Yeah.
You don't need to be worrying about reserving right now. I mean, we're 21 days out, and I will tell you though that will be a weekly thing for a while. So it's not just reserved the first weekend, but that will be a weekly thing for a while until we really get a feel for who's coming to what service and that kind of a deal.
I'm thinking it's this Sunday. It's June 7th, Connie. It's June 7th.
Yeah, it's not this Sunday.
I'm getting
everybody.
Already.
It's not this Sunday. It's 21 days from now.
I'm fired up. I'm up here on the stage at the church, and I see all these chairs, and I'm just like,
it's sickening.
I'm just revved up.
Let me tell you, you guys don't know. I'm gonna get honest with you as a pastor real quick. I keep grabbing his chair to turn my chair. You don't know how many Sundays I've got up just mad and had to adjust my attitude. Not really angry, losing my temper, but just aggravated in the core of my soul. Not because of the situation or because I don't believe God's moving or anything like that, but just because I can't see you. And I know that you've probably had the same experience. My sister told me the other day their church in Oklahoma went back this last weekend, and she said, it was weird and awkward at first, but man, it felt so good to be back in church. She said, I will never take the attendance of church for granted again. I think that's one of the things we've learned out of this is how much we truly need
one another,
each other.
Yeah.
Like when Jesus says it's good for edification, I mean, when Paul wrote in Hebrews, don't forsake the assembling of yourself together because it's good for edification and good to be built up and encouraged. I think we realize now how true that is. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was just like, oh man, it's just so good to hear your voice. It's so good to just talk.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things have been impacted by this.
Yeah.
Man. A lot of things. And so, man, it's just such a privilege to get together. This kind of gives us a little feeling like this is not persecution. Nobody has persecuted us. The church is not being persecuted. This is a health crisis. There's a major difference. So I'm not saying that. But this does give us a little bit of taste, Connor, about what it's like in some developing nations
where they can't
meet.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting that this came from China, and in China there's all kinds of persecution for public gathering, and you can't just do it. In Vietnam, the church is underground. You can't just do it, and if you do it, you're going to jail, you're getting beat up, you're being persecuted. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
People die over this, and I think this has given us a little bit of a taste about what it's like when you can't do something. I think it's also kind of changed our attitudes a little bit about being, I don't know, maybe we're a little spoiled.
A little bit. Just a little bit. Taught me to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So I'm giving you one opportunity before we get off of here. But I just want to make sure that you all understand. You understand everything we've said. I want you to ask any questions that, I don't care how simple it might be or how you might think, well, that's a silly question. Somebody else might be thinking the same thing. So if you have any questions or just maybe something you think we haven't thought of or said in this video, please, I'm going to give you one more moment to kind of put that in the comments. Wow, I didn't realize I was going to get emotional there in the middle. You don't realize how much you miss people and I just love our church, man.
Yeah, the best people.
There's so much that goes on in our church that we don't even know. Like people do ministry
all
at
the
Summit, that prison ministry. There's guys in our church that go to jails, go to prisons, that have whole programs that they do in prisons. We have people doing all kinds of different outreach type things to nursing homes and and it's we do a lot of things as a church together. A lot of the small groups do different things, but man, there is a legitimate, real nature about our church where people are doing things.
It's like a serve first. Like they immediately think, let's serve.
Right. And
somebody's hurt, let's go get them food. Let's get a meal train set up. Let's pray for them.
Listen, you ain't gonna go hungry at this church. You go get an outpatient surgery, you're gonna be doused.
Yeah, if you don't want food, don't tell anybody you're sick. Don't tell anybody. Will masks be required?
We're not requiring that. All of our serve team will be wearing masks because that's the guidelines. We're not requiring other people to wear masks. I feel like that a lot of people will. I feel like it's a good idea. Obviously, people on stage will not be able to wear a mask because we couldn't be able to communicate well if we did. But we will be a fair distance from you. So I think a lot of people will wear a mask. I think it's a good idea to wear a mask. And I know it feels awkward, and I know there's somewhat of a stigma with it. But guys, think of it this way. It's not about you as much as it is about loving someone else and caring for someone else.
When somebody sees you with the mask on, they think, wow, they care.
Because here's the deal. Here's why let me just give you a little bit more understanding about why we're slow. Like why we haven't just opened back up and said, everybody should open back up. Here's why. Because think of it this way, and this is another reason why it's good to wear a mask. Because a lot of times this virus is asymptomatic, meaning you could have it and you don't know it. Now, if you haven't been around somebody or exposed to someone who's had it, who's been around somebody who's had it, then you don't have it, okay? But if you have and don't know it, and that could happen in a church setting, let's be honest, then when you start presenting symptoms and you go to the doctor, then they have to trace back who you've been around. And you literally could cause someone else to have to be quarantined and not be able to go to their job and so on and so forth. That's why we've been slower, because we don't want to damage people in the process of saying we have to be in church.
Right.
And you guys have done so well about being, connected and done so well about staying involved and really growing in the Lord. I've had so many testimonies, ridiculous, but but you've been good about that, and that's why we've been kind of slow. And honestly, if we saw a resurgence or the numbers went up, we may have to come back and modify this plan. Right now, I don't see that happening. I feel like in 3 weeks we're all good, but that's why it's important to wear a mask. I mean, it's not about, most masks, unless you get that certain kind of mask, and I can't remember what kind it is right now, don't protect you anyway, just to a very small degree. But it does protect other people from you if you were asymptomatic and didn't know it, right? Also, if you bring your kids, I want to say this too, it will be your responsibility to, as they interact with their peers, to make sure that they're social distancing, to make sure that, everything's appropriate there. So and the way it's going to be done, I know it's going to feel odd and it's going to feel awkward, but I think we're all pretty used to things now.
Yeah.
And I know when I go out in public now, like I went to Lowe's the other day, we were working in our yard or whatever, and I went to Lowe's, and there were a lot of people in Lowe's that had masks on. There were a lot of people who didn't.
Yeah.
But it's really the way we think about it. It's the way we think about it. Now, we're not going to have anybody going around being the mask police, and we're not going to be the mask police, and we're not going to have people going telling each other what they should and shouldn't be doing. That's not the way we flow. So there ain't going to be anything like that. But we're going to expect everybody to be adults. And, I will probably wear a mask coming, to start the service and all of that. When I go up on stage, obviously I'm not going to have a mask on. But other than that, I probably will be wearing a mask because it's the right thing to do. And, when we're outside, it's not necessary to wear a mask, especially if you're standing a few feet away from each other and you're out in the open air in the sun. But, and another reason is because what they've said about the transmissibility of this, it doesn't take long. Mm-hmm. So if you're standing close to someone and you're not wearing a mask, it doesn't take very many minutes for that to happen. So I don't see any more questions, and because we're recording this and we're going to be disseminating it to everybody who is a part of Summit Church, I want to go ahead and stop it because it'll get too long.
Yeah, there will be a written explanation of steps to take. That way you can go back to it, and this video will be available. So if you know somebody that doesn't have access to technology and doesn't know what to do, help them by all means, because we obviously can't reach everybody. We're going to reach a lot of people with this, but.
And if you can't help them, call us, connect us with them, and we will personally help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't want anybody to be under any misunderstanding, and we want everybody to be. And I promise you this: when you come, it will be safe, it will be sanitized, and it will be organized. And you're not going to have to worry about what's happening. We will be ready for you. Yeah. Because we are so excited about this. So, Connor, you have anything else you want to add?
I'm excited.
All right. We love you guys.